You're listening to Behind the Bulldogs, brought to you by Ferris State Athletics.
Off the left side, to the end zone! Touchdown, Bulldogs!
If I'm even having like a bad day on the course or something, I just look down at it and just feel like thankful that I'm able to be out there.
Making sure that we're like where our feet are and we're not thinking about outside distractions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into a brand new edition of Behind the Bulldogs. Brandon Worth, Tatum Outlaw joining you here. We are on number 20, and we figured we would celebrate the milestone with one of our best episodes potentially yet.
Yeah, we've got another player-coach duo. You guys really enjoyed the last one. We had Tia and Leah on, the rhyming names. And so we've got another player-coach duo today, so I hope you guys enjoy it.
Absolutely. Might not be rhyming, no. Scholler and Bronx doesn't ring up the same bell, but Jimmy and as well Coach Bronkema joining us, a highly anticipated fan-requested interview. And so we can't wait to bring it to the people here. We'll have that in the middle of the sandwich of the show. We'll have, obviously, the Ferris State Sports recap, and as well at the end, the Ferris State Sports slate upcoming this weekend in Ferris State Sports. We'll get right into it here. Basketball, obviously, very prominent subject with this show in the title and who's on. Split overall, men's and women's both go 1-1. Men's fall to Tech, women's just edged them out by 3 points up north, and then a big win for the men's against Northern Michigan. That one was tight down the stretch. I remember watching it over in Engleglaven before the hockey game started. We'll talk about that in a minute. That was a really tight game. It was a very ruckus atmosphere, and women's falling to a really good Wildcat team. Northern Michigan just seems to have our number in women's hoops this year. They're a really good team, and they figure it out. But another sweep overall, and that just goes to show, Tatum, and we've talked about it. Obviously, Coach Bronkema will talk about it. We'll tease the interview a little bit. This conference is so good. You have the teams at the bottom beating teams at the top, and that just chaos ensues. You can't take a week off.
Yeah, they're both for men's and women's. Their conference is just very competitive this year, and I think any win that they can pinch out is going to be helpful. Like no win is taken for granted in this conference, especially for this year. So a win's a win. We're excited for every win that they can get.
A win is a win at the end of the day.
No matter how many points, it's a win.
Yes, it might be by 1, might be by 51. Yeah. It does not matter. Win is a win. Both teams right now in position for hosting the quarterfinals. Still got some room to try to make it up into the standings in that 1st or 2 seed to have a fight for the championship. But both teams will need some help from other teams as well moving forward. But hockey, also a split. Might not be in the same points margin. Lake State picking up 4, only us picking up 2. Thanks to a banked-in goal in the third period on Friday night. Didn't think that would be the most important play of the game, but it was because it stole Lake State another point. Really, Friday night, gutsy effort, dominant physicality of a game. For Ferris's perspective, played really well. The overtime goal, going to be one of the goals in the year in the CCHA. Cole Birch on his back, falling down. Brody Kaiser, myself, great reactionary call online. You can watch that. It was amazing. And that was a really good showing from them on Friday night. Lake State, you just knew they were going to respond, and they responded really well, especially closing that game out on Saturday.
Yeah, I think even a split just for our hockey team is great. If you can pinch out any win, I think, double loses on a weekend kind of sucks. So splitting it, not the greatest, but they know that they can beat them. So
yeah. We've beaten them before. We can do it again.
They know they can do it.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy to see the CCHA standings down the rest of the way. While we might not get home ice, seeding is going to be very imperative on who you're going to play round 1, especially since the fact that it's a best of 3 series as opposed to, one and done comparison to the other rounds. So it'll be very important. Tennis, a sweep against Hillsdale. Congratulations to tennis. A good Charger team, dominated them from start to finish. And it's really good to see tennis starting to roll it along. Coach Doran, obviously talking to him a little while ago, he's really excited about where this group is at, especially lost a lot last year. Doesn't seem like it right now. They're just back to where they left off.
Right. They're looking good this year. I'm really excited to keep up with them, and I hope that they can keep winning and, just keep improving. They're looking really good.
Absolutely. And track and field here, I'm counting right now on my sheet 5 top 5 finishes, 7 top 10 all-time marks in school history, and 15 top 10 finishes in the biggest Division II invitational in indoor track and field in the whole country. Impressive stuff. Great job, the track. As a fellow alum, can't be more elated. Just absolute dominance across the board. distance, mid-distance sprints, jumps, as well as throws, just getting the job done. And they're peaking at the right time. 2 weeks left before we get into indoor championships, and I can't be more excited. Hopefully, I'll be heading down there. I really want to see all of my teammates doing really well over in Saginaw, but it's really excited to see them, very similar to a lot of the other teams, getting that spark late towards championship season, right when you want the wheels turning.
Yeah, you're winning when it matters. I'm really excited to see how the rest of their indoor season wraps up because it seems like they're in a really good position.
Absolutely. It's going to be really fun to see that. 2 weeks, I will be, I believe, as you're listening to this, likely the week we're releasing it'll be next week, but maybe some are a little behind. It's okay. Subscribe, follow. You won't have to miss an episode moving forward, as well as our great interviews, which, speaking of which, we got one to get to.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Let's get right to it. Coach Andy Bronkema and Jimmy Scholler standing by of Bulldog Basketball. Now joining us here in the interview room, we have a couple of special guests from men's basketball. We got Coach Andy Bronkema and Jimmy Scholler. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And obviously, coming off of a gauntlet of a schedule the last couple weeks, now finally getting to play at home. Just talk about what it's going to mean to being back in Wink Arena this weekend and finish out the regular season here in the homestand, I should say, against some good teams.
I mean, the schedule's 20 games, 10 away, 10 home. So however it lines itself up, you're going to get an even schedule. So, but to be back home home court in any sport is important. But if you look at just the records across the nation, all levels in basketball, home court advantage is a big deal. So playing in front of your fans in a familiar building, familiar rims, it's a big deal. So it's great to be back home. And, we're looking out, 2 weeks left in the regular season, trying to finish strong.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been on the road a lot lately. And it feels like we haven't played a home game forever. So it'll be nice, especially with senior night, having friends and family up on Saturday will be really nice to be back in Wink Arena.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like you guys have had some tough games throughout the season. Conference is looking really good and competitive this year. What are some goals looking forward to the rest of the season, and how do you want to approach that?
Right now we're hoping to finish out the year 4-0, get into the GLIAC tournament. But that's kind of like always been our goal. We try to defend home court and split on the road, which we've done. We're a little behind on the formula. We lost to Tech at home, which stunk, but we're right there, and we're just trying to finish the year strong.
Yeah, whatever's available, we're trying to go for it. So, first place, we don't control our own destiny. So, if we get a little help, that'd be great. But the most important thing is stack wins and continue to improve, because you want to hit that conference tournament and you want to be playing your best basketball so that you can win that and get the automatic qualifier. At the same time, looking at the standings, it's pretty tight. And you want to work for, if you're top four, you get a home round game in the first round of the tournament. And that's a difficult thing to do. And it's definitely another goal. If we can't finish first and it's not available anymore, then we want to get that home first round game, which means a top four finish, and then find a way to win that game and see where the Final Four is at and compete for it.
Absolutely. And Coach, you talk about it religiously in post games and pre games, media sessions. I mean, this is a tough league to play in every night. You can't go in and expect to push over. What does it mean to you, especially coaching in such a competitive league? And we'll go over to Jimmy after that as well, playing in that league.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, I think the best example is just, Davenport right now has one conference win, and it's against Michigan Tech, and Michigan Tech's in first, right? And if you just were to go on Davenport's website, or even Purdue or Northwest, who we play next, you go on their website and look at how many 1 point or one possession or single digit losses they have. It's astonishing. So just a play here or a play there, and those records flip flop. And that's the kind of league we have. It's been that way for a long time. So you just can't relax, and with basketball being a 2-semester sport and really starting in the last week of August, the fourth day of classes, and then just running through, until as late in March as you can. I mean, that's a long time to keep a competitive edge and just to keep an intensity about you that's a winning intensity. So teams can come up and bite you if you have an off night, and that's just the way it is.
For sure. Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough. Like we always talk about, there's no off nights in the GLIAC. Like any team can beat you on any given night, so you got to come ready to play. And like you said, Davenport and Purdue Northwest haven't been super successful this year, but I mean, we had a close game with Davenport at home. We had a close game at Davenport. We had a close game at Purdue. Like all these teams have talented players, and when they want to get up and play super hard, it's really hard to beat these teams, especially with the physicality in our league.
Yeah. Speaking of other teams, favorite gym to play in besides our own and why?
Ooh. Favorite gym. I like playing at Parkside. Like they typically have a really good crowd and like it's pretty good atmosphere there. So I would say there. But I mean, obviously it's always fun to play at Grand Valley. Big crowd there, but I don't know. What do you think?
Parkside's been a popular answer.
Yeah, the girls I believe said that both on the last episode.
I think they said that too.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Each arena brings its own element. So maybe I'll talk about just the most recent game playing at Northern Michigan because they just redid their arena. They're out of the ice arena.
Right.
And they remodeled the volleyball arena, which was like the old basketball arena. And now they have a, intimate, tight, loud facility. And I thought that was a lot of fun to play there. But it depends on the crowd. And sometimes it depends on, where you're at in the season and the level of, where the game's at and for the standings and the significance of it. But there's been a lot of great games over the years. I do like traveling to the UP. Just because of the tradition.
Jimmy
has a different idea.
I do not at all.
It's just for me, it's a fun trip and those teams are so competitive. All three of them, and going there is such a challenge. So I look forward to those challenges. But there's not a place I don't enjoy playing at. And it was our first time playing at Roosevelt this year. They're new to the conference, so that was
their gym's different.
Yeah,
different.
It's smaller and it's like on the second floor and it's right downtown.
The train like right up there.
Yeah.
The train going by, and at the same time, you could see where they put some thought into it. They have their band and their dance team and the cheerleaders and the GLIAC banners up. And although it's not very big at all, it got loud in there too. Yeah. So everybody's got their own little niche and their competitive advantage. And some of the other gyms, some of the preseason ones. So like we played at the Breslin Center this year. I mean, we've played at Chrysler. We've played at Cintas. In Cincinnati, there was Xavier. That's Cintas, right?
Yeah.
And those are fun games and fun gyms to play in too, because they're just you times the crowd by 10.
Yeah.
And those student bodies are usually typically a little bit bigger and pretty coordinated and choreographed in their cheering and their taunting. So that's fun too.
Well, with that, you have to pick one favorite moment, favorite game that you've ever coached and ever played in?
What a question.
I know. You guys have a lot of really good close games, but if you had to pick one favorite, what would it be?
Favorite game, I would probably say my sophomore year when we beat Tech at home in overtime.
Oh, yes.
After Walt made the 3-pointer to send to overtime. That was probably my favorite game.
I remember that game. That was a crazy game.
Yeah, that was a fun atmosphere.
Those games are so hard to watch.
Yeah,
I get so into it, and it's just like
blood pressure was going like this, just crazy. Coach, how about you?
Well, and then the football team flooded onto the floor. Got a technical to start out overtime.
Yep.
They missed the technical shot. We went on to win. That was a classic game. So for me, I mean, I've been around a little while now. So you're making me pick one. So I'll pick two in a.
That's okay. We'll let it slide.
I'll really pick one. So the obvious one's the national championship game.
Yes.
Sure.
In 2018. That's the favorite game because Northern State was 2 hours away and they lead D2 in attendance every year. Mm-hmm. So the Pentagon holds 3,500 and we had about 300 strong rowdy Ferris fans waving the Ferris colors, and they had 3,200 people just chanting Wolves and clapping. And
that's a nice gym too.
It was a true national championship feel to it. But other than that, one game that probably a lot of people won't know about was when Drew Cushenberry, Noah King, and those guys were sophomores, and Coach Fleming was a senior, and we were in the hunt for first, second, and we slid all the way to 6th seed, and our reward was to go to Finley, who was in the conference at the time, and Finley had never lost a conference tournament game at their place.
Wow.
So we're feeling like, okay, we had a chance to maybe even win the league or at least get a home game. We slide to Findlay. They've never been beat there. And Drew Cushenberry made a buzzer beater. And that thing, it's famously known as the bounce in shot with the alumni. And it just bounced on the rim and then bounced on the rim and then fell through at the buzzer.
Wow.
And we went from there, won the tournament, and then got all the way to the Sweet 16. So we rattled off 5 in a row, counting that game. And that was a huge game. And it was still early on as the program and the momentum was building. So that was a huge game and a legendary game in my memory.
Absolutely. Now we're going to go to a reciprocating question here. We'll take it a few years back. We'll start with you, Coach. When you look at recruiting, right, a lot of the guys, you obviously take a lot of guys from West Michigan, Grand Rapids area, get some transfers as well. When it comes to a guy like Jimmy, what was alluring to get him to Ferris State? And what is that, especially with your recruiting process, getting guys to here to Big Rapids?
Well, you start out initially just trying to get the highest level player you can get. And there ends up being some sort of line between, are they going to go to a mid-major in the state, Eastern, Western, Central, Detroit, or Oakland, or are they going to slip to us? So that's the area that we're working through. So we're recruiting kids that are getting recruited by those schools. We're in the same gyms, and Jimmy was at that level, and a big guard. Wildly successful in high school as a scorer and a floor general. And, really just a thought that, hey, he could play point guard for us. Just being 6'3", now 205. I don't know what were you in high school?
Probably like 185, 190.
So we're thinking, okay, we got a pretty unique type of point guard. Usually in our league, it's kind of those smaller 5'10", 175 jet quick guys.
Yeah.
So that was appealing. And then he was just a winner. And then once you start the recruiting process, you start to meet their family, you start to talk to their coaches, the people around them, their AAU teams, and you build a relationship with a kid and you find out, is he a Ferris kid? Because you have to recruit toward, to your school and to the area and to yourself as a head coach. How is he going to fit in? It was a instant connection. Probably we've had a lot of good home visits over the years, but probably one of the best home visits, just walking into the home and just feeling like you're in your own home. And, the recruitment was, it was a no-brainer for us, and it connected, and we were able to get that done. And then he came in on the COVID year, right? So we're talking about in hindsight now how good we look. I don't know where he's going to end up. We'll have to look and do the math, but as high as second in all-time assists.
Wow.
Gosh, you got to be close to most games started, most games played, most games won. In a career at Ferris. So we're talking about, a real legacy that Jimmy's left here, and thank God we signed him.
For sure. Jimmy, now I'm going to go over to you. In that recruiting process, what allured you to Big Rapids and playing for this guy sitting on your left?
Yeah, obviously Ferris had been very successful and gotten lots of wins, and I love the play style that Bronx is always preaching. We run a nice, simple offense, and it's kind of like, you get to be a player here, and, we're going to throw it in the post, and we're going to play physical and play fast and get up and press, which I've always done in my career and love to just get out and run in transition. So that was an immediate click that we had. And just like his personality, he's got a big personality, super friendly, super nice, and always cracking jokes and like hanging out with the other coaches and other players. And he knows everyone in the town. So it was an immediate connection, and I loved it here. On my official visit, guys like Mike Peterson and Greg Williams, and it just felt like home. You come here and you hang out, and all the athletes love each other. So it was something that was kind of like he said, like it was a no-brainer for me as well. I always knew that I really liked Ferris.
For sure. We can confirm Coach Bronx has some good dad jokes in his bag. There's
What do you guys like to do outside of basketball?
We both golf.
Competitively?
Let's talk about that a little
You
bit.
guys golf together? Who's better at it?
Sometimes we
Well,
golf
Jimmy's
together.
better, but he doesn't win,
Oh.
which is something I put an emphasis on.
Yeah.
That's true.
We've played a couple times. I have not won yet. I have picked some bad partners in the past.
Oh, no.
Throwing him under the bus. Who? Ben Davison,
Ben,
Mike Peterson,
BD let me down.
throwing him under the bus.
No, Ben played good that day. If you watched this, Ben.
He was just playing for his own score, though.
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't playing to
for
win.
the objective.
No.
Mike got a little angry on the course. Bronx and his teammate Scott LaCourse typically have pretty good team chemistry. I've got I think this summer it's going to be picking a guy that has some good chemistry. I think I'm going to go with Brandon maybe.
Ooh.
He's a solid golfer, but he's a kind of a vibes guy. So.
Okay. All right.
And Jimmy
Go
works
for
at
more.
the course.
Go
He's
for
got
more
all
of
the
a vibe.
advantages.
Oh yeah, you literally do work there.
And you want to tell him what you're mad about?
Well, Bronx plays different kind of golf.
I fluff the ball. I roll it over.
Oh, so of course you're like, yeah, that's no. That's
No, we
cool.
established the rules beforehand. I said he can do it.
Some of
These
us
are the
follow
rules.
him,
These
yeah.
are the rules today, and he won't do it. So that's his fault.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know I was going to ruffle some feathers with this question.
Great question.
That's
Competitiveness. It goes outside of the locker room too when it comes to your guys and your culture. Just talk about what it is, outside the court. You guys are doing stuff together. You're having a good time. But then at the end of the day, I mean, it's all love, as you say, Coach Bronx.
Yeah, it really is. It just kind of ties in with your recruiting question earlier, and you really just try to present who you are as a coach and who the university, what the university is about. And then, like Jimmy said, he came here and connected with the former players because they had connected and they had connected. So there's times recruits come and they don't connect and they connect somewhere else, and that's okay. So if you do your job right, you're bringing in the kids that love it at Ferris, and then you're together all the time. So you have to have a competitive edge, but you have to have a little lightheartedness and a little life outside of basketball, with your question. And a lot of times that life out of basketball can be together too, whether it's just getting together and watching some football at the house or just, finding a way to get on the golf course together or whatever it is. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, even sometimes it's mandatory fun, required stuff where we're going out disc golfing or we're doing something together or, tubing down the river. But sometimes it's just organic too. And that continues, just with the alum coming back, and they know my house is always open and there's always a bed for them, and coming back to games and, stopping over and hanging out and keeping those relationships, because those are the special things, the favorite games, the favorite gyms, all that stuff is good. But, at the end of the day, it's just those relationships and building it with each other and, becoming friends, really. That's the cool thing about a coach. It's just like you have this authority figure role, and yet you're a mentor and a friend. But then when they graduate and grow up, it just becomes way more of a friendship. And that's what's special to me.
Yeah, I think the mandatory fun is definitely really important because my coach does a lot of the similar things.
We know
that
exactly
you do.
what you mean by mandatory fun.
Yeah, but it makes all the difference too when you have like a great culture with your teammates and you also have like that friend relationship as well. So I totally see that when I see you guys play.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, we do a lot in the preseason of stuff that's like we on Friday nights, but then it turns into, it's typically always competitive. It ends up being competitive.
I mean, what's the point?
Yeah,
What's the point?
I got smoked in ping pong this year by Nick, our undergraduate assistant, and he's right-handed and he's had some elbow surgery and he smoked me left-handed, and I went out in the first round of the tournament.
You let him beat you left-handed?
I didn't let him beat me. He earned it, man.
Oh,
He's wicked. Yeah, and it was supposed to be the B bracket too. I wasn't even in the A bracket, so
Oh, no.
they got us bad.
Yeah, we'll have to get some ping pong lessons for Coach Bronkema over here. But going over to, we'll wrap up here with the last couple questions. I want to ask each of you. Jimmy, we'll start with you. What made you want to play college basketball? What was that moment where you're like, I want to do this, I want to get to the top, and I want to play at D2 or whatever that level may be?
Yeah, my dad played basketball at Calvin and was lucky to win a national championship there, and he kind of never shut up about it. So it was kind of like...
You're like, I want one.
Yeah, basketball was kind of our thing growing up, and then it was just like I played at such a young age and played it all the time and just ended up loving it. I kind of knew, since like middle school basketball, that it was something that I wanted to pursue after high school.
Awesome. Coach Bronkema, over to you. What made you want to be a coach, especially at the college level?
Well, I never wanted to be a college coach, so that that's the answer to that. Originally, I didn't.
That sounds familiar. Coach Brandon Wilhelm on the show said the same thing.
Yeah, I never started out with that goal. So my dad was a coach, so I just grew up in it, and I had the luxury of being coached by a lot of Hall of Fame coaches, and great coaches, high school with Bruce Coltman, Matt McDonald, and in college with Kim Elders, and these guys are Hall of Famers, and they just impacted me a lot. So having a dad as a coach, so I set out just to be a teacher and a coach. That's what I wanted to do. And then the Lord took me in a different direction. He opened up this door. All of a sudden I go from volunteer assistant and teaching elementary school here in Big Rapids to assistant coach to head coach, and I love it. And I'm super excited to be, a college coach and the coach at Ferris specifically, but that wasn't my goal after graduating college. That wasn't really even my path. It just kind of unfolded.
Wow. It's crazy the way the Lord can steer you sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely a God thing. And, and who knows what doors open up next, but we're happy here and just want to keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for coming onto the show. Last question before you go, as always, ask everyone on the show, what's your favorite thing about being here at Ferris State and being a Bulldog? Bronx, we'll start with you.
The people. Yeah, the people are my favorite things, the friendships, and just getting that, social interaction every day with people you care about and people you're cheering for.
Awesome. Jimmy, how about you?
Yeah, same for me. It's going to be really weird next year, just not watching basketball every night with the same 10 guys and just walking over down in Campus Creek and just seeing who wants to hang out or what we're going to do. So definitely going to miss hanging out with everybody, and especially the going to the other games, going to the football games and hanging out with those guys as well. It's going to be definitely weird next year not doing that.
For sure. You're going to be watching film though for the alumni game though.
Yep, I will. I'll be getting ready.
Yeah. It's funny.
No chance.
Competitive. There's nothing there. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, Coach Bronkema, Jimmy, for coming on the show, and good luck this weekend here at home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Big thanks to Coach Bronkema and Jimmy for joining us here on the show. Great interview as always, and our suspicions are confirmed. Competitive level 10 with that team all the time. And it's very fun to see because, it just makes the experience that much more memorable, whichever adjective you choose to use, or verb or noun, whatever word. But it's good to see, them in especially high spirits are excited to get back in front of home crowd this weekend. They've been on the road for so long. And so it's just great to get them to stop by and chat with us.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought when I asked about what they do outside of basketball, I was thinking maybe it would be a little bit more relaxing, but nope. It's competitive golfing. It's aggressive. People are getting upset. It's very competitive, but I didn't, I should have expected that when I asked.
Yeah, maybe.
It was cool to see, a little bit more of their personalities because we know that they're a great coach and player duo, but to see more of them was awesome.
Absolutely. Let's get into the Ferris State Sports Slate before we get you on your way here this afternoon or morning, whenever you're listening to this episode. Softball will be in action Thursday, February 20th, 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. against the Dragons. They'll be playing them in Chicago. They're against the Chiffin Dragons. Then we also have women's and men's basketball right here across the hall in Wink Arena against Purdue Northwest. The Pride are coming to town 5:30 and 7:30. And also, wear your red and bring your donation cap, whatever it may be, to get you to donate money. Bring it. It's going to be in support of women's heart health. So be sure to bring your Venmo, bring some cash, some change to donate to a good cause.
Yeah, it's nice. Basketball hasn't been home for a while, so make sure you guys come out and support, especially towards the end of their regular season conference play. They could really use some love.
Absolutely. Looking at Friday, February 21st, track and field will be at Saginaw Valley in the tune-up meet, getting those last things put together and strategy and such before the GLIAC Championships next weekend. We'll talk more about that on the next upcoming episode. Some softball games have been canceled due to projected weather against UMSL and Quincy. We'll see if those get made up. You can find out more at FerrisStateBulldogs.com. And then hockey will be up north in the Mighty Mac in Houghton to take on the Huskies. That will be a 7:07 puck drop from up there. They'll also play them on Saturday at 6:07. And then also some more softball games potentially. Obviously, quite a few cancellations in the Blue Ridge right now, so a lot of games up in the air. We'll see if we can find out more information. And then women's basketball at home against Parkside, 1 and 3 o'clock from Jim Wink Arena against the Rangers, a very pesky team this year.
You know, a lot of good conference and regional games coming up. So hopefully we can squeeze out some wins, and if not, just really close games.
Absolutely. It should be very competitive, a good environment. It's the regular season finale, so it'll be senior day.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of people in attendance, and we'll get to see the Bulldogs play, especially the seniors, at least one more time in Wink Arena. We hope it's many more. We're going to need some things to go our way, but be sure to be out and about this weekend so that you don't miss out on all the great things. Yes. Tatum told you so. I didn't even have to say it.
Be there, be square.
You better be there. That's no question about it. I'm going. I know you're going. We're kind of obligated to, but
I mean, we would go anyway, but we also sort of have to be there.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we're not supporting. So
I think, yeah, exactly. It's not by force, but it's being told, but we would tell ourselves anyway that we would. Anyway, just be there. Just show up. Be sure to make sure that you bring your money on Thursday night, and be sure to support the seniors on Saturday. But that's another wrap. We got episode 20 in the books.
Yeah.
Plenty of
good episode.
Yeah, plenty of good episodes upcoming. And be sure to subscribe and follow along wherever you get this show and podcast. And of course, some great interviews on deck coming up the next couple weeks.
And let us know who you want on next.
Yes, please do. At Behind _Bulldogs. We changed it a while back. It's still in my muscle memory the wrong way, but at Behind _Bulldogs. We'll have stories out there. We're going to get your opinion, who you want in the chairs over here. These empty chairs, they need people in them. So you better make sure that you get us some ideas who we're going to put in those chairs.
Yes, because we listen. So
yeah, example A today. So be sure to subscribe. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you later.
Bye.